What is up, Blue Demon fans, and welcome back to We Are DePaul's Blue Demon Banter podcast. I'm your host, Joey Pollizze, and we have a great episode in store for you guys today. And I'm joined by We Are DePaul senior writer Dan Stagg. Dan, how we doing today?
Good. Looking forward to another exciting time at Masters Garden starting on Thursday, excuse me, Wednesday.
Yeah, it's
Excited.
gonna be an interesting tournament. It's going to be a fun tournament. And obviously, after the year what DePaul has had and getting that six seed, I guess, Dan, my first question to you is, they got that six seed. That's their highest seeded in the Big East tournament in program history since they've been in the conference since '05. Just how big is it for DePaul, where they were 2 years ago to where they are now and getting that number six seed?
I mean, it's still incredibly big milestone to achieve. I mean, you get the taste, I get the bad taste in your mouth after losing, two double uh, digit games to Butler and Villanova. That kind of takes the sail out of the little one, but you got to step back and look at it as a perspective. It's a great accomplishment. They what, eight conference wins. They doubled that from last year after they got four last year when they got zero. So 0, 4, 8. It's showing the arrows pointing up. And the sixth seed is not by accident. They won it outright. I mean, it wasn't a tiebreaker, so they were
Yep.
definitely the sixth best team. And what I been pointing out to some of the fans is like we beat 4 and 5. We beat them. We swept both teams for 4 and 5 seed. So that has to be taken into account. Granted, we did get swept by five teams, but two of them were in St. John's and UConn and Villanova, so three NCAA tournament teams. So I mean, it's a really benchmark Chris Holtman can point to in recruiting when the portal opens up that they got the thing going in the right direction, and it's a big milestone to achieve in such a short period of time.
Yeah, it's obviously a great year for DePaul. I know people who follow the Big East say, "Oh, but Big East is not strong this year in terms of the teams and whatnot." But still, DePaul is definitely trending up. This was just a great year for DePaul. There's so many different milestones and accomplishments, and you have to fans have to be proud of the work that Holtman has done here in year two, and still more game left. Like they are the sixth seed. They will enter the Big East tournament here. First game against Georgetown on Wednesday as the favorite, and you go from there. But I think this is a good first step to getting this program really turned around. We saw the strides last year, and we've seen the strides this year, and it's been great to cover the team. It's been great to watch up close to see how well they've done this year in year two, and they have a shot here and on Wednesday against Georgetown, a team that they played last year in the first round. They beat them, and that's when they eventually lost to Creighton there in the second round. But you have Creighton. Last year he could have made a run, didn't. This year, Dan, do you see them potentially making a little bit of a run here, maybe getting to Friday here in the Big East tournament?
Well, that's the hope. I mean, I think we could beat Georgetown again. I mean, it's been especially without KJ Lewis, but we'll talk about what they're missing and what they have coming into that game. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But um, you know, they've been so inconsistent. After losing KJ Lewis, I mean, it was in the middle, but prior to them winning against Providence in their last game on Saturday, they had lost seven games
Yep.
before that. So, but everything gets reset. That's the thing about these tournaments is a total reset to start from scratch and play your game. That's what DePaul did last year. They beat Georgetown in a really gritty game, and they really, really, really should have beat Creighton. They let that one go with an 11-point lead with 2 minutes left. So
Yep.
that's still, but you know, they have the chance to beat Georgetown if all things go well, and especially what you wrote about today, that the players only meeting how they connected and really aired out their grievances, and they're totally reset for a fight on Wednesday. I think they'll win on Wednesday, and I think they could beat Villanova. It's hard to beat a team three times. I know that we looked terrible against them at Wintrust, but I don't know, something about this DePaul team that always does well to master guard. I mean, even going back to last year and even like not the year before that was with the Stubbs last year when Matt Brady was coaching, that was an awful thing. But prior to that, DePaul won their first game against Seton Hall, and Nick Ongenda blocked the shot at the last second. Remember that moment? So somehow this DePaul team rises to the occasion at Big East tournament time, and Holtman had it going for them last year with probably a lesser squad, and this year his team is a little better, especially with the the way Benson's playing down the stretch. I think they can make some damage, and I'm not going to say they're going to beat Villanova, but I say they can do it. I think they can do it.
Yeah, I think it's I think they come into this game. I think DePaul is ready. I do. Benson told us reporters in person today when we met with them before they took off for New York that they had a players only meeting after dropping two straight games to end the regular season, and they just talked about everything. It was really Brandon Macklin's his idea to get everyone together. NJ Benson was a big part of it as well, and they just kind of talked. And Benson said that players did get teary-eyed. Players did, felt like they connected on a more deeper and personal level, and that's big. I think a lot of these players know what's at stake, and I know that players like Macklin and Benson and Gunn, they don't want their college careers to end just yet. They're not
Yeah.
ready for it to end, and I know specifically Macklin is not ready for it to end. I know he posted on X the other day saying 0-0.
Yep.
Everybody's 0-0. There's no record. There's nothing. Everyone is 0-0, and I do like that mindset coming into here. 0-0. Everyone is even, and
Yep.
just go out and play basketball. That is it. So I know these players are ready. I think they'll be ready. They've played Georgetown well in the first meeting. Second meeting, not as much. We'll get into it. But before we do, break down the first two meetings against Georgetown and what we think is going to happen in the Big East tournament. I wanted to get your thoughts here on NJ Benson not making any Big East Conference teams. Our very own Steve did have a ballot this year for the Big East Conference teams, first and second team, Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Freshman of the Year, Transfer Newcomer of the Year. And we actually have Steve's ballot on here, and we will share it with you. And second team, he had NJ Benson. Player of the Year, Zuby Ejiofor, which I think that's an easy choice. He was, the best player. Coach of the Year, Kevin Willard, which I respected. I think you could have argued between Holtman, Willard, or Shaheen Holloway. I
Yep.
think those are very close. I think I would have went with, I think in those three, it's kind of interchangeable. I think I could see a way where Holtman wins it, or I could see a way where Shaheen wins it, or I could see a way where Willard wins it because his team is going to the NCAA tournament. So I think any of those three could have won. Freshman of the Year, Lewis. Transfer Newcomer of the Year, Silas Damari Jr. I guess with all that information, Dan, I guess my question to you is, NJ Benson was not on any of the teams. What are kind of your thoughts on it?
Let me pull up the All Big East team. I have to see. I'll get that up in a second here.
Yeah, I thought
He was, yeah, I had him
I thought
in
NJ Benson should have definitely been on one of those teams. I think he has been one of, if not the best center or forward
yeah.
inside the paint over the past month and a half. I think he's been that good. He has been on another level, and I think he should have made it. I think when you're talking about the best, 18, 19, 20 players in the Big East this season, NJ Benson is definitely one of them. I do.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely was second team for me too. I don't know where I would put him in the hierarchy here, but I'm looking over a couple of the players like made the third team, like KJ Lewis. I mean, he was on the last place team and he averaged 14. He had a good season, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it. Dylan Mitchell he's very important to St. John's, but the numbers weren't great to back it up. And Tyler Perkins, I don't agree with. I mean, he's a solid player.
Hmm.
He beat DePaul. I mean, he did damage against DePaul, but those are some of the ones I looked at that NJ should be ahead of. I mean, especially with the way he played down the end of the season, how important he was to the wins that
Yep.
Marquette and Creighton and the other Creighton game and the Seton Hall game away, how he willed his team to win and he just look at his worth on Saturday. He was the only one that was given max effort and he was willing. I mean, I knew it was fruitless, but that run was all Benson to get it down to like 9 points in the last 2 minutes or so. I just he's taken the task of being. I know there's no team captain, but he's especially he's up there with Macklin as one of the emotional leaders of the team, and his importance goes beyond bounds. And no one, and I guess the Big East coaches didn't really see it after seeing him twice a year.
Yeah, I believe he should have made it. Even if you want to give him third team honors, like I think he should have been on this list. You just look at what he's done over his past 7 games: 17.4 points, 9.7 rebounds, 1.3 steals, zero point 0.9 blocks. Like, he has been one of the best big men in the conference for most of the year, especially over the past 7, 8, 9 games since the beginning of February. And I thought that it was wrong that he was left off. And Benson said that he had a tweet
Yeah,
of an emoji after not being named, and I asked him today about not making it, if it fuels him, and he says yeah, it does fuel him. It fuels him, and he's gonna keep it in the back of his mind. It's gonna fuel him, and I think it should, because he definitely deserves it. And you just look at all the teams that did get players named to the first, second, or third team. You got Butler on here, UConn, St. John's, Xavier, Georgetown, Marquette, Villanova. Like, no DePaul, and DePaul had a very, very good year, and Benson was a reason for it. So yeah, I think they made the wrong choice, the coaches, in that aspect, and I thought Benson should have made it. And I wanted to get your thoughts on Coach of the Year now,
but
and
just
kind of,
before I say, just I'll get to
yeah,
you can get to that, but just remember, he's coming in with a lot of rage and emotion. I mean, remember his first game, he was his first game back last year in our first round game against Georgetown, and he scored like 14 straight points
yes.
for them, and he just took over the game. That's what I'm waiting for on Wednesday.
Yes, and it could happen. It could happen. NJ has had those games where he just takes over, and I would love to see it, and I think the potential is there, and it's going to fuel him. It's going to
Yeah.
fuel him because he definitely was deserving. But now, in terms of Coach of the Year, what are kind of your thoughts on that? Do you think Holtman? Do you think, like, what kind of who do you think should go to that one, Coach of the Year?
I agree with Steve. I mean, Willard took over a team that, the team was mismanaged last couple of years by Neptune. They got to the crown. They had some really good players last year, and they really underachieved. I think they finished in seventh place. And now they're third place, back where they belong, because they were like prior to UConn coming into the league, they were the benchmark of the Big East, the conference.
Yeah,
They were the heavyweights. A couple of championships on the right, and he's getting that back to that program. They're going to be in the NCAA tournament, probably a 6 seed, um, maybe lower if DePaul beats them. But
yeah,
I still think so. I still think Holtman had a losing record in conference. That he goes way beyond those type of numbers.
yeah,
And Shaheen Holloway, you got to go. I think I'm okay with Holtman not winning the award, even though he did an incredible job. He'll definitely get in the top three, and Shaheen Holloway is a good place for it because Seton Hall was projected last, not
yeah.
DePaul, and they got the number 4 seed with a great record. Um, and he got the most out of his portal additions, and I still think it can go either way, but I think Willow will win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think having his team's gonna make the tournament is a big thing, obviously, and he obviously deserves it. He's done an incredible job at Villanova this year, incredible, and he's done a good job there. But now, Stan, let's get into this matchup here on Wednesday. It's going to be a good one, and they split the regular season meeting here. The first game was a really weird game. It was a 56-50 DePaul win at Wintrust. That was a defensive battle. Remember, that was the game where DePaul held Georgetown to just one made field goal in the second half. That was that game. DePaul did enough offensively to win that game. And in the second meeting, Georgetown kind of played better than DePaul in that game, winning
Yep.
70 to 61. They control a lot of the inside paint in that game. Benson didn't do much in that game earlier in the
Yeah.
second meeting against Georgetown. Georgetown really had the better game, but things look different in round three. Neutral court now. KJ Lewis obviously not going to be playing in the tournament, out for the season. So what are you kind of looking forward to in this game? How does DePaul kind of beat Georgetown here on Wednesday?
They got to get back to their basic defense because that won them the game, their first game with defense. Like I said, they had one field goal in the second half, yet they only won by 5 because our offense is so hit or miss and it's usually miss.
Yep.
So they got to grind it out, don't worry about scoring. Just make sure don't get Georgetown loose. I mean, they're going to be missing the likes of KJ Lewis, but as I was talking to you off the air, they got this sophomore guard, Kayvon Mulready, who's really been playing well in his absence. In his, in his last three games, he's averaging 17 points a game, and this is a guy who's averaging just 5.3 in the season. So he's been rising to the occasion, and so is ever since he got back from the injury that uh, and played against DePaul last time he had a good game. Vince Iwuchukwu, he's really hankering the thing down low. He's getting more minutes than the usual center, Julius Halafenona. Uh, so they're going to come in charge too. I mean, everybody's 0-0. They're not going to lie down. Probably not. Ed Cooley doesn't want to end the season with another loss after having seven losses prior to that.
Yeah.
Prior to that prior to that Providence game, they won by just 1 point too. So I mean, they're gonna have to come with their A game defense. It's all defense, 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 and then hopefully you get some transition buckets, easy buckets. So this is a game I think this is where I think Leighton Blocker can actually break out and help the team because he can get out in transition, he can guard, force turnovers. And remember last year, he was phenomenal at the Big East tournament last year, and he came in kind of cold, and he really lit up the place against Georgetown and Creighton. So with him getting a reset, you don't have to worry about the percentages. It's all starting now. So those are some of the factors I'm looking at for the game.
Yeah. I think Layden is a big X factor in this game because when he's on both ends of the floor, especially offensively, he's on another level.
Yep.
And we've seen spurts of that down the stretch in the second half of the Big East season, but he just the efficiency just hasn't been there. But if he's able to put it together, if he's able to have a good game like he did, took over that game against Creighton in the Big East tournament last year, and honestly was the reason why they were even in that game in double overtime because I think he scored every point in the first overtime against Creighton in that first overtime against Creighton in the Big East tournament. So
And he got a shot over at Cockburner too.
yes, yes, he was fantastic. So yeah, that's an X factor there. And I've said it all year when talking about DePaul basketball, all year. They're not going to win games outscoring teams. Like
Yeah.
if they get into an offensive scoring fest, they will not win. That's just not their MO. They are not going to win. It's all about defense. You look at all the games that they've grinded out, defensive grind games. They've won. Georgetown earlier in the year, Seton Hall. Those are the type of games they win. They're not going to win if the opposing team scores over 75 points. It's just not going to happen. And they gave up 76 points against Villanova, lost. They gave up 81 against Butler on Saturday, lost. That's not who they are. They're not going to score 75, 80 points. But if DePaul can keep Georgetown under 70 points, 69, 70, 71 points, I think DePaul has a great shot to win this game. Lean on their defense. And as Holtman has said all year, defense leads to offense. So you're playing good defense, you can run, you can get out in transition, you can make those easy buckets. I think that's how they win this game. They have to play defense, lock in, they have to control the paint. They did not control the paint in the last meeting against Georgetown. Georgetown won. 30 of Georgetown's 70 points came inside the paint. You have to you have to defend on the interior and you have to offensively play inside. DePaul is not a great shooting team. We know this, Dan. They're not a
Mhm.
great shooting team. You have to work inside, work through MJ Benson, drive. If the kickouts are there, kick it out. But they're going to win this game by controlling the paint. That's how they're going to control this game and playing defense. I think that's the key for them in this game. And Dan, I do think they win this game. I do. I think they are the better team than Georgetown. Georgetown's arguably down their best player. I think DePaul's hungry. They're ready, and I think they do win this game. And I think you're on the same page, Dan, that you believe that DePaul is going to win this game.
Yeah, and I just looked it up. The difference is the defense in the two games. They let Georgetown shoot just 23% at home against Wintrust. At in DC, they gave up 50 they allowed them to shoot 51%. So I think you're not gonna probably not gonna get a 50% shooting from Georgetown. You're probably not gonna get 23. So I'm
Yeah.
saying the difference get like that 35 to 40 range, and we're in good shape.
Yeah, I think, and DePaul has enough offense where they can, if they could hold Georgetown to 65, 66, 67 points, I
Yeah.
think they should win. They have enough offense there with Benson and Gunn and the other supporting
Back.
factors and Macklin. I think they'll do enough, and that's why I do think they'll win this game. I just think they're a better team than Georgetown. I think they're ready. for the big stage. And obviously, the players last year, like Benson and Gunn and Layden, they have the experience playing at Madison Square Garden, which they've said it is a little bit of an adjustment period for them to get used to everything there. And Dan, I know you've been there covering the team before, and there's a little bit of adjustment there playing at Madison Square Garden. It's obviously the world's most famous arena, but I think DePaul gets the job done, and then that kind of sets it up. Villanova in the second round there. Villanova's obviously a good team. We know that. We know Villanova's a good team. They're a tournament team. But what I am encouraged by is that in both matchups against Villanova, DePaul had Villanova on the ropes early on.
Yeah.
DePaul was leading for most of that second game last week. They
Yeah.
wound up losing. In the first meeting, they led, I think, for majority of the first half before Villanova had just played better in the second half. And in both matchups, Villanova outplayed DePaul in the second half. But in the first half, DePaul played well. So it's just about putting it all together. It's going to be tough, but DePaul has to put it all together there. And it's going to
Perimeter
be an
defense
exciting
is
game. It's going to be an
perimeter.
exciting.
Yeah, perimeter defense is going to be the key if you play Villanova. Just
Yeah.
got can't get them loose in three, and they killed us. They did a great job in the first half, limiting them, but they got so hot in the second half, and the first game too. I mean, I think they led for most of that game. Like you said, I think they led for most. I think they had more minutes with the lead than Villanova did. I think Villanova had that great last 10 minutes of that game, coming back from an 8-point deficit, and they won by 5. So it's all about containing Villanova's weapons. And you don't want to go and expecting it, but you got to hope that they're a little content that they made the tournament. They'll take them lightly because
Yeah.
they twice. So it's something you think in your back of your mind. DePaul might come up with a little more energy, especially playing the night before. They'll have some juices flowing. And Villanova will have like a little extended break since our last game. So I'm hoping something like that happens.
Yeah, and I think, what Benson said when I asked him after Saturday's loss was, how far can this DePaul team go? And he said, they've really leaned on the fact that they're they're underdogs. They kind of lean into the fact that they're going into every game as underdogs, and that has helped them. And I think when you look at last year, they went into the Big East tournament as underdogs. They went played Crayon, a tournament team in Crayon, as underdogs, and they should have won that game. They should have won that game, and they kind of used Wednesday's game win over Georgetown into that game against Creighton and played well. And I think that can happen again this
Yeah.
year. I think they're better than last year's team. You hope that they can hit the open shots against in both Georgetown and if they get there against Villanova, that they hit the open shots because I feel like they've had a lot of open looks, over the past, most of the season they have open looks, just haven't been knocking it down. So you hope that Georgetown hit the open shots, Villanova hit the open shots, and who knows what can happen. Anything can happen in March, right? Like
Yeah.
anything can happen. We've seen that in the March Madness tournament. We've seen it in Big East play before. Anything can happen. I think DePaul, will go into that game as bigger underdogs, but they've leaned into that fact all year. They've played well against good teams. They just need to put it a whole 40 minutes together. And that's the biggest challenge for them. But lean on their defense, and I think they have a shot. And back to that first meeting, Dan, real quick. DePaul led for 72% of the game against Villanova.
Yeah. So
72. 72. They wound up losing that game by 5. So it's there. It's there for DePaul. It really is. I don't know if they can do it, but I am fairly confident that they can beat Georgetown here at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday night. I think it's going to be a good game, but I do give DePaul the upper hand.
yeah, it's a 1.5 point game for a reason. We
Yeah.
expect a little nip and tuck, back and forth kind of thing, back and forth game. So got to buckle up, strap in for a bumpy ride, and hopefully get them win down the stretch.
Yeah, I am a little bit surprised that it is only 1.5. I think DePaul is not a lot better than Georgetown, but I think they're a bit better than Georgetown at just a 1.5 point line. But DePaul is favored in this game, and if they can just keep the same mindset that they're if they play connected on defense, I think they'll have a good shot. But before we end this episode, Dan, I wanted to get your just overall thoughts about the Big East tournament and how far you actually think DePaul can go. Can they actually beat Villanova?
Oh, it's such a great time of year. I love going. This is my favorite time of year for so many reasons. Been going this for like 20 years now, covering this. It's such a pleasure to watch and report from Master Garden. It's one of the world's greatest arena. Everybody
Yeah.
comes out. It's the Mecca, and it's just an exciting team. It's like an event, like a concert.
Yeah.
Get a lot of adrenaline. um, pumping through you, and it's just an electric atmosphere, and that fuels DePaul because we didn't bring it up before, but as you know, how far DePaul has fallen in those last 20 years, the fans get behind them because they want them in it. So they get a home crowd advantage because all the other it's all like the seats are like allotted to all the 11 fan bases, and they take all those seats. So and a lot of people are just there to see UConn and St. John's. So on Georgetown is not a big traveling team themselves, so they're going to be the favorite. They're going to be the home favorite because the crowd gets around them, and I always like that about the fans rooting on DePaul, and they were rooting on against Creighton. It was like 80-20, like everybody wanted DePaul to win that game. So it's a fun experience. So yeah, I think with the with the new reset they have, the new motivation they have with the players meeting and Macklin and Benson knowing this is it. This is it. This is our legacy. They're going to come out, and I'll say they are going to win 2 games in the Big East and get to Friday.
Yeah,
So,
that would be big, obviously, to get to
yeah.
Friday. That would be big, and I think that they can make some noise. I think I don't know if they can beat Villanova, but I
Mhm.
think that they can make that game extremely competitive. And if it's a close game, anything
Yeah.
can happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in that game. But I do think they'll beat Georgetown, and Dan will actually be there covering DePaul at Madison Square Garden. So be sure to subscribe to our free newsletter at wearedepaul.com to check all the latest DePaul Blue Demon basketball news. It is completely free to sign up, and Dan will be there live and in person covering the team. So be sure to follow him on X and be sure to give us a like at wearedepaul.com. And as always, subscribe to our free newsletter. But that's going to do it here on this episode of the Blue Demon Banter podcast brought to you by WeAreDePaul. Dan, thanks for hopping on, and hopefully DePaul can get a win and make some noise here in the Big East tournament. And as always, guys, go Blue Demons. Have a good one.